Welcome to the streets of rock and roll with your host, Ron Keel.
Join me on the Streets of Rock and Roll radio show. The playlist is always packed with great music.
Got to get back to the streets of rock and roll.
And exclusive interviews with the heavy hitters who make the hits.
Hey, this is Paul Stanley from Kiss.
Hey, everybody, it's Gene Simmons.
No one rocks like the resident rock star, Ron Keel, the Metal Cowboy.
Out on the streets of rock and roll.
Packed with heavy metal balls.
We get a little wet, but we keep on rocking.
And it's always a blast, a pleasure, an honor, and a thrill.
Hey, you freaking kidding me, man?
Meet me on the Streets of Rock and Roll every Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on krfkradio.com. Good afternoon. This is Ron Keel reporting for duty.
Hi, Ron. This is Randy Jackson. How you doing?
I am doing great, Randy. I appreciate hearing from you and getting you on the radio show, man. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Let me check your level. I want to check this up a little bit.
Hey, how you doing? What's going on, Ron? Hey, it's a holiday. 1, 2. Hey, hey, hey.
That's
hey.
perfect. All
I'm
right,
in
brother.
Florida.
Right on, man. I am in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the wild, wild Midwest.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. A couple of things before we start. The liners, did you get those? Can you cut those for me on the phone real quick?
I didn't get them. What are they?
Okay. Very simple. This is Randy Jackson from Zebra on the Streets of Rock and Roll with Ron Keel.
Okay. Here we go. Hi, this is Randy Jackson of Zebra on the Streets of Rock and Roll with Ron Keel.
Perfect. And one more, if you would, for the station KRFK. You're listening to KRFK Radio, Live the Rock.
Now, it's KRF as in Frank?
Yes, KRFK.
Okay. Hi, this is Randy Jackson of Zebra, and you're listening to KRFK, Living the Rock.
Perfect. One more thing. After I wrap the interview, I would like to do just a couple of minutes, a couple of bonus questions for the podcast if you've got time. This shouldn't take more than 20 minutes.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Here we go. Okay. One of the signature hits from the classic debut album by Zebra, and we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of that release with the man behind the door. He's also the man behind that voice, that guitar, that song, vocalist and guitarist, Randy Jackson. Welcome to the Streets of Rock and Roll. Thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you, Ron. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
It's our pleasure. Let's start with the big news. Zebra is in the midst of a major cross-country tour performing that debut album in its entirety. And from what I've seen, the reviews and the fan comments on social media, man, it seems to be going very well.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 40 years to rehearse it, and I think by now we've had it down, so it has been going good. The shows have been going great, and it's just great to see all the fans coming out to celebrate with us. We're having a good time.
No doubt, man. It's been 40 years since we first heard that album that introduced us to Zebra. However, you and your bandmates go back even further, almost 50 years since you, bassist and keyboardist Felix Hanneman, and drummer Guy Gelso started playing together. That lineup is still intact almost half a century later, man. That alone is quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that we're all still alive. It's been 48. It's getting close to 49 years. And,
wow.
It's hard to believe, Who would have thought,
Obviously,
but,
there's some
here
great...
we are, and we're still playing,
Obviously, some great chemistry musically and personally. You guys got to be like brothers.
Yeah, we're family at this point. I mean, after the first 5 years of whatever we were doing, we kind of knew what to expect from each other and what not to expect, and we kind of settled in, and it's been good ever since. We all get along with, we don't have too many varying viewpoints on political things or anything like that. So we've never had issues, between us personally, and we are like family,
That's all good.
Three of us.
Yeah, it shows in the music too. I'm looking forward to seeing the show in my old hometown of Phoenix, Arizona on June 1st, and I'm excited to be one of the opening acts that night. Thanks for having me on the bill.
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing you. I'm excited too.
Oh, I'm looking forward to
It'll be
hearing.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys, I can't wait to see the show. Get done with my gig and see the show. I'm doing my Alone Acoustic show, which is both a blast and a challenge. I know you're quite adept at the solo acoustic format. Any advice for when I walk out there to a sold-out house full of Zebra fans?
Yeah, just have a good time. That's what I do, because when I screw up, I just smile and everybody smiles with me, and that's what they're there for. I tell every performer, I said, don't get angry on stage, no matter what, no matter who screwed up what, because that's not what people paid their hard money for. They're not there to see you get angry about something. They worked all week. They're there to escape, and you're the escape. So.
Well,
and you know that.
Yeah, I'm always smiling. The more I smile, if you see me smiling, you know I probably just screwed up a chord or missed a lyric. But that's my hometown. That's where I grew up and had my first guitar, my first car, my first girl. And so I haven't played there in over 10 years. And the opportunity to open for Zebra was too good to be true. So I'm really looking forward to it. All the shows, both full band and solo gigs for Zebra and Randy Jackson, are listed on the official Zebra website, thedoor.com. All the ticket links, social media, and merch, one click away at thedoor.com. You can also find them at facebook.com/Zebra Rock Band. I'm speaking with Randy Jackson, lead vocalist and lead guitarist. This 40th anniversary celebration will climax on your home turf, November 18th at the House of Blues in New Orleans. I know you've got that one circled on the calendar.
Yeah, I mean, the House of Blues. We did a lot of our DVD years ago at the House of Blues. And it's always been a great place to perform for us, and it's just a couple of blocks away from where we started when we were rehearsing before we even came out and played. It's on Decatur Street, and we rehearsed on corner of Frenchman and Decatur back in 1974 before we came out.
Wow. And you guys are loved everywhere, but especially in both of your hometown/states, regions. Zebra not only inducted in the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame, but also in the Long Island Music Hall of Fame. Back when most bands were relocating to Hollywood and the Sunset Strip like I did, you chose the Big Apple. How did that happen, and how did that move contribute to your success?
Well, I think the reason we went there is because we knew some people there. Or we didn't know people, but we knew people who knew people. So we had a connection, and our friends knew some club owners up in New York, a club owner who brought us up to New York, and we played on New Year's Eve, 1977, with a band called Rat Race Choir, and we did 2 nights. We did the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, or New Year's Day night,
Yeah.
And that was the start of it. We did a couple of more shows. We weren't making a lot of money at that point. We went back to New Orleans to kind of regroup, and then we went back up in the summer of '77. And by then we were doing well enough we could stay there if we wanted to, and it worked out good. The bands up there were a lot of bands on the circuit that, like the Good Rats, Twisted Sister, a bunch of bands who we opened up for, and we got exposed to a lot of people really, and it helped us out a lot.
No doubt, man. You're a rare breed, a guitarist who's also a strong rock lead singer. Not too many of those that can do both, and especially in a 3-piece band. I mean, you're covering a lot of musical territory. Which came first for you, the voice or the guitar?
I think it really was the guitar. I mean, when I was a kid, I was a big Beatles fan. As a matter of fact, I got to see the Beatles. My parents were pretty hip back then, and they took my brother and I to see the Beatles in New Orleans. And I kind of learned guitar listening to them, and I think I had a chord book. So about all they had that showed you an E and an A and the open chords, and I didn't really. I sang a little bit. I sang in choir, but I didn't really start singing, like to be a singer in a band, until Zebra. Actually, Felix and I had been in a band previously. It was his band. And we did all of his original stuff, and I sang backgrounds on that. But then that kind of got me more focused on writing. Because up until then, I had just been woodshedding, every guitarist that had ever been out, and just, you know how it is.
Oh yeah.
when you learn it. And then we went out as a 3-piece. We were actually looking for a singer for Zebra before we came out, but we couldn't find one, or if we found one, they didn't want to be with us, or they were in other bands already. So we decided, let's go out as a 3-piece and see how this thing works. And so each of us sang. Felix had already been singing because he was a lead singer in the Shepherd's Bush, which is his band. Guy had a great voice, big voice, and he used to do like Deep Purple, and he would sing Tush, ZZ Top, and he had a great big full range, and then I was, each of us sang a little bit of the Led Zeppelin, one song or another, and then I ended up doing that, and I think that really helped me to develop the voice that I used on the records. I think it was because everybody else was trying to sing it in full voice, and I just said, all I could really do is hit falsetto, because I couldn't hit some of those notes full voice, but I still had the guitar to hide behind, so it wasn't like I was just the lead singer. But after a while, it developed, and it got stronger and stronger and stronger until it was actually sounding pretty good. So that's how it happened. I didn't really set out to be the lead singer or a lead singer. Just kind of happened on its own.
Well, we followed a lot of the same path. I learned how to play guitar from a Beatles songbook. I wanted to play guitar, and I never saw them live, but I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show when I was 2 years old.
Oh, okay.
And that obviously sent me on the path that I'm still on now, 60 years later. Yeah. And I got the Beatles songbook and started in alphabetical order. So the first song I learned was Across the Universe, because it started with the A's, and then All My Lovin' was, I think, page 2. So we're cut from the same cloth. One of your musical trademarks, and I think it's, to me, being a singer, it's a combination of full voice and falsetto when you hit those high, powerful notes. From what I've seen and heard, you haven't lost a step. How have you kept your pipe so sharp after over 4 decades of belting it out like that?
Well, I just don't push it too hard. If I feel like, and the fact that you do, like you switch between your regular voice and then your falsetto, it gives you a break, actually. It's like, it's kind of like working out with 2 different arms and not having to do the whole workout with one arm. When the one arm gets tired, you go to the other one, and that's kind of the way it is with the falsetto and the and the lower register for me. And so that's helped. Plus, I drink a lot of water. A ton of water every day, and I sleep. I like to sleep, so I get a lot of rest. And I also, I guess, in the last 15 or 20 years, I've made it a ritual to warm up my voice before I do a show. I don't get to do it all the time. Sometimes I'll be doing like an acoustic show, and I'll just warm it up with some warm-up songs. But if it's a gig where I got to go out there and just start, belting it out from the get-go, I definitely warm up, and it helps a lot.
And what is that warm-up ritual like? Is it scales, or what is that that routine?
It's just scales and different vowels along with the scales. All the making sure you're doing all the different vowels. I went to a vocal coach actually after the 3rd Zebra record. I went to this guy Don Lawrence in Manhattan, and he showed me a bunch of techniques, and my pitch actually got much better. That's why I went to him because I was going in the studio and singing, and then I'd go back in the control room and listen, and I'd go, God, it's out of key. It wasn't horrible, but it just wasn't what I wanted, And sure enough, somebody told me, go to this guy, he'll show you. And he said doing the scales was going to make the difference. And 6 months later, he was right. I could go in, and now I could tolerate listening to myself sing. Kind of funny.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that training, too. My coach is the reason I'm still belting it out today. She taught me so much about connecting the tone and warming up and being able to dig deep when you're up there and maybe you're struggling a little bit. I think that's the key to our longevity. You can see it and hear it for yourself by catching Zebra on tour this year, performing their debut album in its entirety. I'll see it and hear it when we roll into Phoenix together on June 1st. Zebra with openers Donnie V and some guy named Ron Keel. Tickets and everything else on their website, thedoor.com. My special guest this week, Randy Jackson. I could talk to you for hours about singing, playing music, and rock and roll. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I'll see you in Phoenix in a couple of weeks.
Looking forward to it, Ron. Thanks so much.
And a couple of questions, bonus questions, and you can say no comment if you want, but I like to add a couple of things on the podcast that don't fit into the normal context of the interview. First of all, and I get this a lot too, man. I get it a lot. My albums, my career, they call me underrated. How do you feel when people categorize Zebra as being underrated?
I mean, it's really the point of view. I mean, when we got our record deal, we had been turned down by Atlantic years before that, like 3 or 4 years before. And we actually got signed on pretty much the same demo that we had brought to them, 4 years earlier. Now, first time they turned us down, they said that we sounded dated, that the music was dated. If we had come to them 10 years earlier, it would have been great. And then the second time, there was a new president. Doug Morris had become president of Atlantic, and although they weren't looking for us. We just got kind of lucky because the program director of a radio station on Long Island, WBAB, started playing our stuff and he put it in heavy rotation. He was getting a lot of requests for it because there was no record, and that's pretty much how we got our record deal. So when people say you're underrated, well, we would have been just like unknown, if it hadn't been for that little streak of luck. So, you can't say. I mean, you see so many people that really get, are making a fortune at the music business, and some of them you think, they deserve it or they don't deserve it. Everybody works hard. Anybody that stays there works hard. So I don't, I just think, that I'm fortunate just to be able to still be doing it at my age and making a living, and that the fans are still coming. So, underrated. Yeah, people. To me, it's like, I guess my problem with people, looking at different musicians and comparing them, and it sort of becomes like a football game or or the NFL. Like my team's better than yours, and it's that football mentality that has you, saying, "Oh, this band's better than this one," and all that. And I just don't think music really should be, looked at in that manner. It's all, to the listener, and everybody's got a different opinion.
I get it.
It's not like it's not like football where you definitely win because you scored the points.
Yeah. Nobody's keeping score in this game, thank goodness. But man, I've always felt I'd rather be underrated than unrated. And guys like you and I who have been able to last 4 or 5 decades in this business, make a living doing what we love to do, I think that deserves its own type of recognition, and I get that all the time. I know it's an appreciation thing from the fans, going, "Man, this is so underrated. This should have been huge. These guys were my favorite band when I was a kid," and all that. So I just wanted to get your take on that. And one more thing, Randy, we both came up at a time when you could look out into the audience and really connect with people, make eye contact. Nowadays, it's more like cell phone contact. I was watching some Zebra videos on YouTube to prep for the interview, and man, literally, it's a sea of cell phones out there, and it's like cell phone contact instead of eye contact. How do you handle that? What do you feel about it? Do you embrace it, or do you do what I do and just pretend the phones aren't there?
Well, it's just part of the current trend. People are looking at their phones. The funny thing is a lot of them are videotaping and probably won't ever look at the videotapes. It's like, it's so easy to take pictures and make videos these days. Just think about all the videos and pictures you've taken that you've probably never looked at.
Exactly.
That are just sitting there. So it's kind of silly. And people are on their phones all the time, but that's just they're texting people, telling people, "Oh, we're here at the concert," and it's becoming more about them, and it can be, it should be. People are there to enjoy themselves, and if they want to share it with their friends online and stuff while they're there, I think it's cool. And,
right on.
We have fun with it.
Well, I know there'll be some cell phones in the air on June 1st when I see you in Phoenix, Arizona. I can't wait to meet you. And I don't know that we've ever met in person. But
we did one time.
Yeah?
I think it was at the NAMM show
That's
years
right.
and years ago.
That's right.
Just briefly.
I did see you at Rocklahoma 2008. That was the last time I saw the band live, and I had a gig there that same year as well. And I remember you started singing, and my girlfriend just melted. She's my wife now, but you started singing, and she melted. It was like, wow, man. So I'm looking forward to sharing some cell phone video of your show with my wife.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Awesome,
well,
dude.
I'm looking forward to seeing you. And you're living in South Dakota now?
I live in South Dakota. I've been here 8 years, and I've got a cabin in the woods by the river. This is my dream house with a basement studio, and I've got a concert stage downstairs where I do my rehearsals, and I love it here. I've been did the Nashville thing for 10 years, did the Hollywood Sunset Strip thing for 10 years, did Vegas for 10 years, and finally found myself a home in South Dakota, and I love it. I'm 5 minutes from the airport, so looking forward to it's amazing. And I know it gets cold in the winter. I mean, we were snowed in a couple of times. You know what that's like.
Sure.
Spending time in New York, but I had to dig us out of 4 feet of snow a couple times this past winter. But man, it's a beautiful day today, and I'm glad that you saved me from doing some yard work by agreeing to do this interview. So man, I really appreciate it. What a great conversation! Congratulations, best of luck with the dates, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, Ron. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure, Randy. Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
This is the Metal Cowboy, Ron Keel, and I've got your all-access pass to tons of exclusive video and audio that you won't get anywhere else. Be a member at patreon.com/Ron Keel. Special merchandise discounts, VIP access at my concert appearances, live online video chat, guitar clinics, vocal tips, songwriting workshops, live online house concerts, and much more. Welcome to